So guys, we have some pretty darn interesting news coming out of the world of VR, and this news spans Meta all the way over to Google as well. And before I just tell you today's news, I want to give you a little bit of context. I want to roll the clock back just a little bit. And to do the first part of this, I'm going to show you this article on Android Central. Google abandoned VR years ago, but now wants to make a run at things again. And we're going to scroll down to this section here called A Messy History, because this context is really important for what's happening today. So this article says, back in the fall of 2016, Google was all in on VR. If you remember, they had the Daydream View, they had the Google Cardboard, all these things that they were sort of playing with. I think I actually have the Daydream somewhere around the house. You would put your phone into it and close the thing up, and that's how they were doing VR. They had a single controller. It was pretty cool. 2 years later, Lenovo would have a standalone Daydream headset called Mirage Solo, so no phone required. But then, not too long after that, Google ended up killing that product. In 2019, they began killing Daydream by not including support in its latest phones. By 2020, the platform was completely abandoned. Google, I think, realized that the path they were going down wasn't working super well. Now, like a lot of cancellations over at the Google Hub, you could argue maybe they should have just kept going and they could have adjusted and figured things out. But instead, they said, we're just not going to do this anymore. We're going to cancel this project effectively. Now, of course, going back to 2020, it's 2024 now. A lot has changed, and Meta has had a ton of success with their Quest headsets. And of course, Apple released their headset, which had a ton of fanfare, which then did, of course, reduce down to a very gentle whisper shortly after the launch. But still, some companies are doing well with VR. Meta is, I would say, the one that's doing the best right now of selling headsets. And of course, Google is not going to take that line now. While they did abandon the Daydream project, there is something else going on, something else that has been brewing within Google. And that thing which has been brewing is a project called Android XR, and that is the continuation, you could sort of say, to Google Daydream. They are making their own flavor of Android meant for mixed reality, VR, whatever you might want it to be, made for headsets. And while that's been going on, there's been this back and forth between Google and Meta. They both feel like they are building the operating system that should power other headsets. Of course, Google wants control. They want it to be running Android XR, and they actually have tried to get Meta to switch. Of course, Meta has their own version of Android. They took Android, which is free for anyone to do, and they have modified it, and they have turned it into their own operating system. And again, both of them are trying to make the claim that their version of Android is the one that other headset makers should be using. And that brings us to today's news story. 9 to 5 Google. Meta pushes Google to bring the Play Store to Quest's Horizon OS ahead of expansion. What we have here is sort of a two-piece news story. So piece number one is this. Meta has confirmed partnerships with two big brands. Asus ROG and Lenovo will both be using Horizon OS, that is Meta's build of Android made for the Quest headsets. They will both be using them for a product. Asus is making a performance gaming headset, and Lenovo is making some sort of mixed reality device or potentially multiple mixed reality devices. Now, part two of this is that Meta is straight up publicly asking Google to bring the Play Store to the Meta Quest. This is their quote. Because we don't restrict users to titles from our own app store, there are multiple ways to access great content on Meta Horizon OS. They say this includes gaming services like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, Steam Link, or their own AirLink system for wirelessly streaming PC software. And they go on to say that they are encouraging the Google Play 2D App Store to come to the Meta Horizon OS, where it can operate with the same economic model as it does on other platforms. They are straight up saying, Google, just bring your Play Store over. Horizon OS it's Android. So bring the Play Store over. Imagine this. You put your headset on and you're playing a game, whatever it might be, but then you can just go to the Google Play Store and install Netflix or install Twitter or install whatever it might be, and it will just run on the headset. You don't have to really try too hard to imagine it because we've been able to sideload APKs for quite some time. Of course, the Google Play services aren't there, so that restricts us pretty heavily as to what's going to run. They're asking them to bring it all over and let it all just run on the headset, which I think would be the best thing for everybody. Why not do this? Well, of course, because Google wants everyone to use Android XR headsets instead. Now, to add some additional intrigue to this, we have this article on Sam Mobile, which says Samsung XR headset features could be revealed at Google I/O 2024, May the 14th. Google is having their next event, and there are some rumors, some speculation that Samsung headset, which would be running Android XR, we could see something about that at that very event. So we truly do have a really interesting time in front of us when it comes to these headsets. We have Google working with Samsung to make their own product running Android XR. We have Meta working with Asus and Lenovo, and now actually publicly asking Google to bring the Play Store over. This is kind of reminiscent to me of Google kind of trying to publicly shame Apple for not adopting RCS. Like Meta could kind of go down that same road of being like, hey, why not just bring the Play Store over? It's best for everybody. Everybody would really enjoy that. Why? They just don't want to do it for some reason. They could kind of go down that same road and make Google look a little bit bad. Things I think are going to get very, very interesting in the world of headsets. But guys, I want to know what you think about all this stuff in the comments down below. Which platform do you think is going to win out? I mean, we've seen Meta's solution for many years now, and we know that it's pretty darn good. It's been improving over time. In fact, there was just a pretty substantial update released the other day that improved pass-through on the Meta Quest 3. We haven't really seen anything out of Google. Android XR has yet to be formally revealed. We don't really know anything about any of these headsets, just rumor and speculation. So, what do you think is going to happen here? How do you think this is going to go? Do you think Google should help Horizon OS by putting the Play Store on that operating system? Do you think that would hurt their own Android XR platform? Does one need to win out fully? Can they both coexist and survive together? They're both Android, right? So theoretically, apps made for one should be able to run pretty darn easily on the other. The hardware compatibility would be potentially the bigger problem. As long as the way you interface with it is very similar, which it probably will be, maybe they can just both coexist at the same time. Who knows? Let me know in those comments down below. I'll drop links to these articles down in the description as well, so you can check all of them out. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.